And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and it is Saturday, and you know what that means? It's time for all the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you. A huge week of toy news this week. A tale of two kind of weeks of go back to towards the holiday time frame, first of the year, barely any news, and then bam, this week we got hit with a lot of stuff and a lot of late breaking news on Friday as I'm filming this video. However, I did do a separate video of all the WWE Mattel news of this week. Check that out. That will post on Friday, yesterday, if you're watching this on Saturday as it drops. So much news this week, thought I better drop a separate video of just that stuff. This will be everything else under the sun. A lot to talk about here in the toy news. But before I get too far into it, gotta, of course, remind everybody, this video is sponsored by JaysToysAndGames.com. As usual, use discount code Kyle, save yourself 15% all in-stock items. Gotta get a deal out there. If you watch the channel this week, I did do a warehouse tour there. I went to pick up some pre-orders I had over there as well. A lot of stuff came into the Jays website this week. A lot of people dive into that Christopher Reeve Superman and Platinum Edition. Brand new Turtles of Grayskull in stock. All the new Valorverse Action Force stuff. New Secret Wars is in stock. Wrestling stuff. They got everything under the sun over there. Check out the website. And like I said, use discount code Kyle. You can save yourself 15% off all in-stock items. Gotta get a deal out there. And thank you, Jays, for supporting the channel. Of course, Patreon, got to give a little heads up to the old Patreon. Best way to support the channel, you guys do know that. But we do got the Patreon giveaway for the month of January. It is a big rubber guy. It is one Matt Hardy. So, of course, Patreon members, head over there, check it out, find all the rules, all that kind of fun stuff. If you want a chance of winning this Matt Hardy figure. A lot of fun over there on Patreon. Of course, all the videos extra early over there, all the glamour shots, monthly Q&As, giveaways. It's all over there on the old Patreon. Appreciate everybody's support over there. A little more housekeeping, getting dangerously close to 50,000 subscribers on this very YouTube channel. My goal, and I don't know if it's the biggest goal ever, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be close, though. It's going to be close. Need your help. If we can get to 50,000 subscribers by March. March will be the 5-year anniversary of this YouTube channel. It'll be pretty cool to have 50,000 subscribers for 5 years. If we hit the 50,000 by March, I'm going to do 5 giveaways. That's what I decided. 5 years, 5 giveaways if we hit that. If we don't hit that, we'll at least do 1 giveaway. But if you want to be a part of those giveaways, more to come in March. And I'm working right now on special guests. We're going to do a 5-year anniversary special episode. All-star lineup of guests over on that one. Some surprises, some big things, some announcements. You name it, you're not going to want to miss that video here in a couple of months. So stay tuned to that, but I'm already booking a lot of that stuff right now, so much more to come. And then the final housekeeping stuff this week. Sad to see Bob Uecker died. Oh my gosh, Mr. Belvedere was such a staple of my childhood. Of course, his time in Major League. And then for a lot of people, they know him obviously from his baseball career and things like that. And then, of course, his time over in wrestling with WrestleMania and Andre choking him. We all remember that as well. So old Bob Uecker. Tough one, but you know, time waits for no one, as they do say. But shout out to Bob Uecker, just a rough week there. And then I didn't mention it last week because the news was still a little bit fuzzy, but man, oh man, by now everybody's heard about this. Good friend of the channel, Jeremy Padower. Of course, Jeremy wrote the foreword to the Jakks Class Superstars book. Mr. Jazz Wears, Mr. Jakks back in the day for wrestling. A big part of our life, I guess, in action figure collecting. He was part of those house fires out there in the Palisades and lost everything. So, man, shout out to Jeremy. We're all thinking about him. Just very, very disappointing, that whole thing that's going on over there. So many people lost everything. He even showed pictures like, here's a fireproof safe. Everything inside of it is burnt. So if you have a fireproof safe, apparently that isn't even going to help you. So just a really, really tough events over there. Just hate to see all that kind of stuff. And I was in LA a couple of times over the last year, and I can't even imagine. I don't know it well enough to know, oh, that's there, this is that. But man, it just looks like a war zone from the pictures. So shout out to Jeremy Padower out there. Just not good. Just not good, as you do know. But let's dive into the news. This is where I'd usually dive into the Mattel news, but like I said, I already have a video. Check that one out if you missed it. A lot of good news in there, and it truly was the good, the bad, and the ugly from the reveal day. It was. So check that out if you missed that. But we're going to dive in. We'll start with some AEW stuff. And something I don't know if I talked about, or I don't think I talked about it since we got some images from Ringside. Of course, use discount code Kyle, save yourself 10%. Better Than You, Baby, the MJF Adam Cole 2-pack Ringside exclusive. Looks okay for what it is. A lot of reuse, of course. You do get that MJF title belt, which is pretty cool, though. That is a Ringside exclusive up for pre-order right now, if that is your thing. And the one that came out of left field, a lot of people were saying it was dormant. I had heard a while back it wasn't. We just didn't know when it was going to come back out. Well, here we are with the Supreme Walmart exclusive back again with Jon Moxley. Of course, Jon Moxley all over AEW TV as the champion in this day and age. Not quite totally updated to where he is right now, but closer. Sure, why not? But that will be a Walmart exclusive, probably March, April, I think is what they said on that. So that is around the corner if that is your thing. And then our old friends at Power Town. I got some news straight out of my dad's basement for Power Town here today. We did see a little image graphic on their website. They conveniently dropped that right as I dropped my toy news last week. So I don't know. Conspiracy? Conspiracy? Probably not. Probably not. That's what Magnum always says. But Power Town, January 13th, just a couple days ago, officially, Brian Myers and Matt Cardona hit the ports. I think it was out in LA, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully all is good there. But we should have our Matt and Brian figures here in the next couple of weeks. If they're in the United States, all they have to do is be processed, packed, and shipped. So hopefully before month's end, we'll have this. Still no updates on the Remcos, the Ultras, the Series 2, of course, or TNA Series 1, Ultra Series 2, the Remcos, the Galoob line, the MLW stuff. They have a lot of stuff kicking around and a lot of our money kicking around, and we're supposed to have the Remcos in our hand this month of January. There has been no update. Once again, we're going back to where we were in the fall of last year. Where is this stuff? Where is this stuff? You're missing deadlines. They should have been the 1st of January saying, hey guys, it's not looking so hot. We got Chinese New Year. Here's what's coming up. The Remcos, they're going to be coming in March now. The other stuff probably coming in May or June or whatever it may be. But some kind of transparency. But all we get is we go to their website and we see pre-orders still open. Better order by the November 24th. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. And man, I'm rooting for them more than anybody because I want these classic guys. I want all these classic, modern day classic toy line of wrestling figures. That's what I want. It's my number one want. I'm rooting for them, but man, they make it very difficult and it's just kind of crickets everywhere. But at least we got a little bit of an update on the Matt and Brian. I hope in the next week or two they give us some kind of update. I would hate to see February 1st roll around and there is no Remco update. You said it'd be here in January. Now here's February 1st. No, nothing. We don't have them in our hands. No communication, no nothing. So hopefully by this video, and I'm sure there's so many others doing Power Town videos talking about it because everybody's talking about it. Or I'm really championing it here, but I hope we hear something. I hope it doesn't take something like this video to say, hey, let's get an update on Remcos that they're not going to be here in January. We'll see. Fingers crossed for old Power Town there. But now we're moving from one retro style figure line to another. We're going to, of course, the retro wrestling style. The more Hasbro style, I guess, is what we'll call it. And we're going to go with TRT Title Run Toys. They did show off a Wrath figure here. Of course, Adam Bomb, Brian Clark. Wrath looks good. I feel like we saw this before. Maybe it was a different color combination. Maybe it was Adam Bomb in that one. I'm not exactly sure, but we do got Wrath coming up for pre-order. Of course, we've seen a lot of these. We talked about Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff last week, so we do have that in the mix right there. Zombie Sailor Toys this week showed a very cool picture of the Brooklyn Brawler. I love the looks of that Brooklyn Brawler. Going to be cool to get him in the retro line. Really a guy that felt like he could have possibly been in the Hasbro. Definitely could have been in the LJN line, and I should have the big rubber guy here in the next couple of days of the Brooklyn Brawler. So very cool to get the Brooklyn Brawler in multiple styles all these years later. It just seems like it's taken forever. But we did get the classic superstars back in the day. Don't forget that, of course. But Zombie in his post, of course, on Instagram did say there's a lot of surprises coming, a lot of in-stock drops coming. His Elite line, I think, will be one of those. He also specifically mentioned the Savage Legacy Collection. What the heck could that be? Obviously, he did show off a retro. Is there going to be multiple retros? And you got to think Zombie is smart enough. He's in tune enough that, like, hey, Mattel's not making Elite or Ultimate style Macho Man. Well, guess what? I will. And he'll give us a version of that in the Elite style. And I've been saying it since the get-go. You got a King Kong Bundy. He's going to release that. We can't get that via Mattel. Could we get Dino Bravo? Could we get Hercules? There's a lot of meat on the zombie bone of people he's already released retro figures of that we would love to have in more of an elite style. So man, my ears are definitely perked reading that. And I read with my ears, apparently. My eyes were perked. I don't know. Something was perked. But I'm excited for the possibility of some of these. And it sounds like in stock drops Q1, where Q1 is January, February, March. So coming very soon. So we'll see what ends up happening there. Very excited about the future of the old Zombie Sailors stuff. And then we move over to more retros. Of course, our friend Mitch over there at Grapplers and Gimmicks. We unboxed a brand new TL Hopper on the channel this week. You don't want to miss that video. Quite fun time with Rio, a toilet, me, Todd McFarlane. Some great fig photography in that video. You don't want to miss that one, of course. But we did unbox TL Hopper, but right now shipping from him in the next couple of weeks here. It's going to take a while for him to ship everything. He did send a note out there. But we do got Alfred Hayes, of course, Lord Alfred Hayes. Get me Judo Al Hayes. Can we get a wrestling version of Alfred Hayes? We got Sean Mooney, TL Hopper, as I did mention. Harvey Whippleman, probably the one I'm most excited for. Coco Ware, don't call him Beware, but we got Coco Ware and Waylon Mercy. So a lot of figures coming from him right now. So get after it there. Going to be cool to build out that old school 80s announce team as well with Hayes and Mooney. So I'm here for that. But that's a lot of wrestling stuff going on this week when you combine all this information with, of course, the Mattel video that I mentioned earlier. But now we got to turn our attention like a young Jerry Reed. Got a long way to go and a short time to go. Jerry Reed is exactly right. As late breaking news on Friday, right as I'm starting to film this video here, we did get some announcements from Marvel and Super 7. We'll cover the Super 7 ones really quick. We got Thundercats update, a new wave of Ultimates, and it looks like only 3 Ultimates in this wave of the Thundercats. Safari Joe, one a lot of people have been clamoring for. I know I have. Happy to have Safari Joe come into the collection. We do get Nadia, and I do not remember her at all. Why do I not remember her? Why am I missing it? I think if I saw the episode or I saw something, it would jog my memory. But obviously, a lot of reuse from was it Willow? Now I'm drawing a blank here, but reuse from that one there makes a lot of sense. Then you got Cruncher, which is a big beefy boy. Maybe that's why we're only getting 3 instead of the usual 4 because of the extra price point he'll probably have on him. But good to see more Thundercats coming. My Cat Slayer, I think, is supposed to be here next week. So I did just get shipping notification finally. Now, the thing I've been saying is, well, that's a problem for Future Kyle. Well, Future Kyle, the time is now like a young Dippin' Dots. I got to figure it all right now. So we'll figure out where I end up putting my Cat Slayer. That's going to be a big one. Maybe the living room would be a good spot. Who knows? It's my new cat. It's a rescue. That's what it is. We did get a Thundercats update. But then Marvel Team, they did a stream on Friday. We saw a few things announced over there. We did see a Jean Grey Target exclusive. Seen a lot of these retro X-Men's. We did get a Professor X one before. Now we're getting Jean Grey. So a lot of people excited about that one, of course. One thing that was very interesting, I think, perked up a lot of ears for a lot of people. There's a lot of perking going on in this video here. But we did see Maximum Spider-Man, which basically to me in my brain says it's an Ultimate Spider-Man from Hasbro. They're taking that next level with more accessories, all the articulation, everything. I don't know if they're trying to combat war with Mafex and some of those kind of things, which are a lot more premium and of course more expensive. They're saying, hey, I can get you one down here from Hasbro about $45 or so, whatever the price point ends up being. But it really does look like an Ultimate. And I was very happy, at least as of now, it's just Spider-Man. He's our first one. I would love to have only 4 of these figures a year. Give us 4 maximum figures a year. Don't do what Mattel did with the Ultimate Edition. I love the Ultimates, but now there is so many, it's almost too hard to keep track of, even for me who's deep in the weeds on this stuff. I would love to see 4 releases a year. You started off with Spider-Man, then I'm sure they'll go to a Wolverine or something like that. Maybe you give us a Venom and a Captain America, or I'm sure an Iron Man. It will be just for tippy-top guys, I would have to think. You never know. They've surprised us before. They'll probably surprise us again. But a lot of people excited about this Maximum Spider-Man, and I'm definitely interested in that. One that was funny is apparently they couldn't get the likeness to Jamie Foxx for Electro. I mean, it pretty much points to it right here. As they have the movie version of Electro, however, his face is kind of covered by the bolts and stuff. So you can't tell if it's Jamie Foxx or not. So I think that's a good workaround about the Marvel team. Everybody wants that Electro. They worked it here. But I guess if you wanted to look at sweet Jamie Foxx's face, you're out of luck on this one here. But they did announce that one for all retailers. And then the one that really piqued my interest here on a more retro style carding, but looking very cool, was a comic book wave where each character will come with a version of the comic book it, I guess, represents. We did see Draken right there. Of course, the son of Wolverine, I guess. I'm going to display him with the mohawk going on. Always interesting to see his claws as well. I don't know if it's a deep cut is the word, but feels a little weird for this line. I'm shocked that wasn't just in a regular Marvel Legends wave, but either way, we're getting him, so we got him coming. We got Rom the Space Knight, and that just flew over my radar. I don't know if I was too young for Rom or what. I have zero recollection of it. I've heard of it, but I don't even know what it's about, so that's an interesting one, kind of like Crystar of last year, I guess we could call that. Ultimate Iron Man looks really cool. Of course, I'm sick of the same old Iron Man it seems like we get pretty consistently. This feels new. This feels very fresh, so I'm here for this. And then, of course, my kid's Spider-Man, Miles Morales, getting another release right here, based off of Miles Morales #1. And then we're getting Banshee. A lot of people were excited for this Banshee, hoping we got that from Giant Sized X-Men #1. Would love to build that team out. Have to think they're going to slowly start working on that team again. So we'll see some of that. But Banshee come to this line. And last but certainly not least, my young comic book reading heart. I used to go to this comic book shop, I don't know, a couple miles from my house. And I remember you were not allowed to bring anything in the comic book store, and you were not allowed to even touch the comics. And if you touched one thing on a comic, you had to buy it. That owner was like the biggest jerk ever. He absolutely hated kids. And you'd sit there with your hands behind your back just looking and like, I wonder what's in that issue, because if you touched it, he literally came over there and grabbed you. And it was just a small little building. But that's where I got all my Infinity Wars, Infinity Gauntlet stuff as a kid. I was knee deep in reading that and getting it on my bike, throwing it in my backpack. Love that. So I love this Adam Warlock. That kind of reminds me of that simpler bygone era right there. So I thought that was really cool, but definitely a different wave with new packaging, a new thing. Of course, constant learning, constant improvements. I've said it before, the Legend team does a fabulous job. It feels like they just need a little oomph, a little bit of something different, because you always got to be kind of reinventing yourself, reinvent your toy lines. And it looks like they took a huge step forward today in this video here. So should be a good year for the Legends team. Can't wait to see what they come out with at San Diego Comic-Con, and we'll start getting some of this stuff up for pre-order here in the next couple of weeks, and some of this stuff in our hands by then. But all points to a good year for the Marvel Legends team. I like this announcement here. I like this video a whole lot from what I saw here today. All right, we finished up the toy news. We're at the home stretch right here. We did talk about it last week, and he just disappeared, but now he's coming up this Tuesday, apparently. It is Rio Blast on Mattel Creations. Pre-order going up over there. Usually it'll ship around the same time. A lot of people have been holding out for Rio Blast. You know me, I love a cowboy with a mustache, so I'll be picking up 2 of these, but he should go up Tuesday. Talked about it. We got some Mattel stuff going up from the WWE lines as well here in the next couple of weeks, so be ready for Mattel Creations. Better have that on your favorites list. We also saw Super 7 this week getting back in the Power Rangers game a little bit. Of course, you can order from the Super 7 website. Use discount code Kyle to save 0%, but it will show that you want to support the channel. So it's an interesting move on Super 7. We'll see how it pays out for them. But you can save 0%, but you can put in Kyle at your checkout. See how that ends up going for you. But shout out to them. But they do have the glow-in-the-dark Megazord. You know me, I'm a sucker for those glow-in-the-dark plastics. Oh, they always get me. But we also saw Lord Draken, of course, Tommy. We had him in the Hasbro Lightning Collection once upon a time. Shipping right now. Sounds like an open order in stock. So dive in, grab your Power Rangers if that is your thing. Moving over to NECA. NECA was some interesting stuff this week. We did see The Howling. You know me, I'm a sucker for a hairy bipedal creature. I love a werewolf, and I love the Howling movies, even though they don't all connect, and some of them are absolutely god-awful, and some are so bad they're good, like the Sybil Danning one, isn't that her name? I love that one, and Christopher Lee's in that one too, if I'm not mistaken. So I really liked that one, I remember. Most people absolutely hate it, but it was very good. And then, of course, the first Howling is probably the gold standard of the Howling movies. But we're getting a little werewolf action. You can always use a werewolf in your collection. I know I can, so we have that one coming. One got my dad all excited. My dad keeps asking me, Kyle, when's it coming? When's it coming? I might even return to the channel, Kyle, for this one. He said it, not me. So we might have my dad coming back. We might have him. I'm trying to get him to do the 5-year anniversary special. We'll see if we can do that. But I think he might come back for Ardith Bay, part of the Mummy Universal Monsters. He's pretty excited about this one, and you guys remember our videos on the Mummy figures over the years. I am by no means an expert in the Mummy. The Mummy is down the list for me as far as Universal Monsters, but my dad, he knows it all. He's seen all those movies. He wants to talk some Ardith Bay knowledge, and I think we're all ready for it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he'll come on the channel. Gonna have to pick that one up at jaystoysandgames.com. Of course, they just confirmed they are getting him in there, and I'm gonna need 2 of those. I need one for me and one for my dad for sure. So we'll see how Ardith Bay comes. We also saw some Turtles, going to be a last Ronin year. And there's that new, what was it, Patrol Bot or whatever. It's like $50. I talked about my figure hunt video. I couldn't buy it. I'm 100% complete, and I said, I can't pay $50 for this figure when I've been paying $36.99 for these, and this one just has like an extra mouser or something. It's just, man, where does it end? And I just had to put it back. I said, I'm actually going to wait for a sale. I don't like it $50 enough. $36, I liked it enough. $50, I had to walk away. So the more we do that, we vote with our wallet, as we always say, things will change for the better or for the worse. Maybe the line will end because, well, Kyle, that last running line, it was really firing on all cylinders. Then Kyle passed up that one, had to shut it all down. Had to shut it down. Could happen. Could happen. I don't know, Todd. You're coming up soon. Don't worry. But we did see that this week. But we also saw Night Watch TMNT Last Ronin figures. We got 3 of them coming here. Now, I think you could order those on the NECA store. I'm playing that long game. I'll wait for Target or Jay's Toys and Games once again to get these ones here. But the Last Ronin line really cooking this year. It's going to be interesting to see how well that translates to sales. If you're all in on the Last Ronin, shout it out in the comments down below. But that's it for NECA. But now we got to turn our attention to Mr. McFarlane on the couch. And Todd, coming out of left field this week, you've always told me over the years, you said, out of all the music, and I talk a lot of music on this channel. Of course, you guys know me. I love my heavy metal. I love all kinds of stuff. But the Music Maniacs line was one I was really interested in. Like, oh my gosh, they're kicking it off with Eddie. They got Rob Zombie, Alice Cooper. Then they went Freddie Mercury, which I like Queen, but just not enough to get a Freddie Mercury figure. They got Slash. I like Slash enough, but I don't need a Slash figure. But man, coming in hot this week, Todd, with one Flavor Flav. Oh yeah, from Public Enemy. Now, I would have rather had old school Flavor Flav, with the big clock around it back in the day, and not the big, what was that? Flavor of Love. That's what it feels like. It's the Flavor of Love Flavor of Flav. I want the old school Public Enemy Flav, right behind Chuck D. The hype man. That's what I wanted, and he still is kind of like that, I guess. But I wanted the young, full of piss and vinegar Flavor Flav is what I wanted. I didn't want the comical sellout Flavor Flavs, but not what I wanted. So, unfortunately, Todd, I might be passing or playing that dreaded long game, unfortunately. But give me an old school Public Enemy. Give me Chuck D. Let's just go all full in with a box set. Let's bring the noise with our friends in Anthrax. Can we get that? Can we get Scotty in? Can we get Charlie Benante? Frankie Bello? Can we get them all? How about Joey Belladonna? Joey Belladonna and I, we spent a heck of a time on a Motorhead cruise. We shared a cab to the cruise. We went to the ice cream parlor there a couple of times. Me and Joey Belladonna, basically best friends. So can we get him one? Give him the full headdress, too. Let's get that going on. But we got Flavor Flav coming to the Music Maniacs line. Little of this, little of that. Dash of the other? Sure. And then one I missed last week, forgot it in my notes, Entertainment Earth exclusive Blacklight edition. Yes, Blacklight. I know we got to pull a blacklight out of your house, Todd. I don't even want to see what that carpet looks like. Like a young Mark the Bagger. That's Todd McFarlane, a young Mark the Bagger, if you're familiar. Batman Forever, Mr. Freeze. Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, is Mr. Freeze. We got this figure before, but now we get it in new Blacklight edition. So if that is something for you, it is an Entertainment Earth exclusive. I would say wait till it comes hot off the truck. Save yourself 10% with discount code Kyle. I don't know if you want to pay full price for this because I do think it will eventually go to clearance. They usually do over there at Entertainment Earth, but it is available for pre-order right now if that is something you're looking for. And that is the toy news this week. I got a lot going on this week, so much so, in fact, I had to do a separate video earlier, of course, yesterday. So check that one out if you wanted some WWE Mattel knowledge going on. But that's this week in toy news of everything else. But now we got to get down to it. Let's get down to the album of the week. All right, album of the week time, and I'm on an album of the week tear, I guess, because last week this band, The Darkness, was my album of the week. Their new album, which only has 2 songs out, but man, I've been listening to those things on repeat. Until this week, I'm like, I need to start listening to more Darkness. I used to listen to them all the time, haven't listened to them as much, and I went back to their second album, One Way Ticket. If you've never heard that one, man, oh man. Now, they always say this album was the album that really broke up the band. Of course, they broke up, finally got back together, maybe, 10 years later. What is time, as we always say. But I loved it. I remember rocking this one when I was in college all the time. Banger after banger on this album. Extremely underrated. Even if their band necessarily doesn't like it a whole lot, I sure do. And it's one of those albums with a lot of good memories of going out with my friends and all that kind of stuff. Just a classic album for me, and one I hadn't heard in a long time straight through. So it was always fun to hear an album you really loved in a moment in time, and it always brings you back to that moment. And that's what the One Way Ticket album by The Darkness did for me, and that's why that is the album of the week. And that sums up the toy news. Fast and Furious here today like a young Vin Diesel. Yes, it's true. And speaking of Fast and Furious, so you guys check out my figure hunt video yesterday as well. hard times on the figure hunt. I ended up getting hit by somebody. Maybe I'll talk about it a little bit more in the weekly purchases tomorrow. But wild time out there in the streets, the ambulance, the polices. Oh, it was an exciting time. Luckily, none of me and my family were hurt, at least. Can't say that about everybody in the video, though, unfortunately. But I can say it about me. So sad stuff for them, good stuff for me. Sums it up right there, but more on that on the weekly purchases probably. So there it is. That's the toy news. What are you excited for? Anything really trip your trigger in the toy news here today? Let me know in the comments down below. Of course, you made it this far. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the old notification bell. We got videos every single day and then some. We got even more content for you, of course, over there on Patreon. Your best way to support the channel. All kinds of stuff over there every single day. ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. My book, now available digitally. The Complete Guide to the Jakks Class Superstar Series. SirPaul64 on the X. The_Kyle_Peterson on Threads. Instagram. And, of course, TikTok. What? Oh, TikTok could be gone tomorrow. We'll see what happens. I don't really know how TikTok works. I post a few things, and that's all it is. So if it loses it for me, it's not the end of the world, but I know there's a lot of people that make their living, apparently, on TikTok. So, man, I feel bad for those people, but it is what it is. Nothing is forever. I always think of everything. One day, YouTube could be gone. It could be moved on from. You never know. So I guess that's where TikTok is right now. All in the courts and everything else. And I'm staying out of it probably. I don't think I'm going to be writing a letter to my congressman. But maybe I should. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But there it is. There's the toy news. And you know what I'm doing. I'm rocking and rolling. Strutting and strolling. My way into the weekend.